Breakfast Club. Sundowner. Yours for the asking.
Hey, brother, do you still believe in one another?
Late date. KBC English Service. KBC English Service.
Well, it's the first Monday of the month of October. The year is 2021.
Good evening and welcome to Channel 1 Prime Edition.
We value you. Engage with us on our social media platform.
On Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News, at Purity_Museo, at Mboya24. The hashtag to use is Prime Edition.
Top in this live broadcast. The Pandora Papers. President Kenyatta undertakes to issue comprehensive statement on report questioning First Family's offshore investment.
Roadmap to 2022. IEBC begins mass voter registration.
There will be an extension effective today of the containment measures, including the curfew hours that are there.
Not yet over. Government extends nationwide curfew by another 30 days.
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Purity Museo and Lucy Mwaura is a sign language interpreter tonight.
And my name is Mboya. Straight to our top story. President Uhuru Kenyatta is tonight assuring the country that he will issue a comprehensive response to financial documents released by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, ICIJ.
The head of state says the Pandora Papers and subsequent follow-up audits will lift the veil of secrecy and darkness for those who cannot explain their assets or wealth.
Edward Kabasa reports.
The ICIJ report alleged that the Kenyatta's offshore investments, including a company with stocks and bonds worth $30 million, were discovered among hundreds of thousands of pages of administrative paperwork from the archives of 14 law firms and service providers in Panama and the British Virgin Islands and other tax havens. The report, however, did not indicate whether the monies were linked to state assets. President Kenyatta on Monday said the report will go a long way in enhancing the financial transparency and openness that is required not only in Kenya but around the globe. President Kenyatta said the movement of illicit funds, proceeds of crime and corruption thrive in an environment of secrecy and darkness. The head of state said that the Pandora Papers and subsequent follow-up audits will lift the veil of secrecy and darkness for those who cannot explain their assets or wealth. He said he will respond comprehensively upon his return from a state visit to the Americas. For Prime Edition, I am Edward Kabasa.
Meanwhile, President Uhuru Kenyatta Monday afternoon joined other heads of state and government in Addis Ababa for the inauguration of Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali.
Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali was re-elected for a second 5-year term in July when his Prosperity Party secured a parliamentary majority by winning 410 out of 436 seats. In his congratulatory message, President Kenyatta assured Prime Minister Abiy of Kenya's continued support in his administration's endeavor to build a strong and a stable Ethiopia. And back home, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission chairperson Wafula Chebukati has said that Kenyans working or studying in other towns need not to travel back to their homes to register as voters. Speaking during the launch of the enhanced continuous voter registration exercise at Nakuru Athletics Club, Chebukati said the commission has set up biometric equipment at institutions of higher learning to enable students to register as voters in their respective home constituencies. IBC is targeting to register 6 million new voters by the end of the 1-month-long exercise, as Safina Cheng Olma now tells us.
Meet Boniface Moore, a resident of Southlands in Langata constituency. Boniface is registering as a voter for the first time. He is optimistic that with this document, he has the power to elect the right leader in the 2022 general elections.
I just want to make sure that I also participate in putting the right leaders in place so that maendeleo tupate kama wa Kenya, because at some point we do blame them. Sasa hujapiga kura unaanza kusema amfanyiwi kazi. Maybe now my vote will make a difference. That's what I do believe in.
Boniface is among the 6 million new voters being targeted by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
The registration kits stationed at the 52 Huduma centers countrywide will be open such that anyone who wishes to register will be allowed to select a registration center of their choice and their details captured to the selected center. We therefore appeal to Kenyans and especially the youth, the first-time voters to be, who have recently acquired national identity cards but are yet to register as voters, to turn up at our registration centers.
In Kisumu, most registration centers experienced equipment failure, with officials expressing optimism that the turnout will improve in the coming days.
You go to some places, the batteries are not functioning, and these are people who are very far from, maybe they're in an open ground. So we are forced to use, we are forced to look for a place with power.
Meanwhile, Mombasa County, which has 6 constituencies, is targeting to register over 371,000 new voters. The county has also scaled up registration for identity cards.
Mvita constituency alone has a target of 24,651 within this 1 month that we hope to register. And of course, each constituency has its own target based on what they had previously registered as at 2017 and the projected a population that has acquired new IDs.
Kila sub-county imetengeneza ile kitu tunaita mobile registration, kupeleka huduma karibu na watu. Katika hili zoezi tumelipangia miezi miwili. Tunatarajia kuwa tutaregister zaidi ya watu 139.
Politicians joined the electoral body in encouraging Kenyans to register as voters.
And we call upon all eligible Kenyans to step forward and register as voters, noting that every vote counts, and it is the right and civic duty of every Kenyan to exercise their democratic right.
Our question and concern as the United Agreement Party is that we're requesting that the interpretation of the word call identification document for purposes of voting and registration becomes the young people who have something called a waiting card, because that waiting card has their registration number together with their biometrics.
The exercise will be conducted in all the 1,450 wards except in Kiago and Musumba wards in Central Imenti and Kibwezi West constituencies and Mahuhu ward in Taita Taveta, which are set to hold by-elections. For Prime Edition, I'm Safin Acheng Ouma.
6 million new voters being targeted by the end of this month, so turn out and register if you are eligible. Moving on, the government has extended the nationwide curfew for another 30 days to curb the spread of COVID-19. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says that the ban on public gatherings as well as political rallies has also been extended. And as Nancy Okware reports, the move to extend the curfew comes amid calls to reopen the country so as to salvage an ailing economy.
The 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew will remain in force for 30 more days as the government looks to ensure Kenya tames the COVID-19 curve. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe says COVID-19 infection rate is still high.
There will be an extension effective today of the containment measures, including the curfew hours that are there. And this is for two reasons. Number one is that we are still, as far as the positivity rate is concerned, we are still above the WHO recommended figures in terms of a 2 weeks period when you have got less than 5% of positivity rate at a high testing level.
Over the last couple of months, calls have been growing on the government to reopen the country to salvage the ailing economy.
As we head for the Christmas holidays, we need to ensure that as many people in this country have been vaccinated as possible. It is the only way we can be able to fully open our economy, and we hope to do so, during the period that we have announced. So,
to enhance accurate reporting on COVID-19, the Media Council of Kenya has launched an information portal to provide the media with factual information on the pandemic.
While the virus has negatively disrupted society, there are still many grey areas that have yet to be cleared. We have seen vaccine deniers who have peddled all manner of conspiracy theories about the vaccine, many bordering on the absurd.
We know that in times of crisis like this COVID-19 pandemic, access to accurate and timely information can indeed be a matter of life or death.
Morning, as we mark a critical milestone in support of professionals in our media. This portal we're launching today will go a long way in making our work and the work of journalists much easier.
In Kenya, the media industry was not spared. Many journalists lost their jobs. Others were subjected to pay cuts. Dwindling of revenue led to closure of some small media enterprises and the rise of fake news and misinformation as some journalists tried to make a living. And this is still continuing.
The media watchdog says COVID-19 has come with numerous challenges with regards to dissemination of accurate information.
And to the pandemic update here in Kenya, 77 people tested positive for COVID-19.
And Kevin De Bruyne's deflected late equaliser gave Manchester City a deserved point after a moment of genius by Mohamed Salah looked to have earned Liverpool victory over the English champions in an Anfield thriller. Meanwhile, Eintracht Frankfurt subjected Bayern Munich to a fast league defeat at the Allianz Arena in 30 matches, following a 2-1 victory over the German champions.
And it's on for Phil Foden, and this is a big chance, and that's a brilliant save.
Champions minutes remaining, but Fabinho's goal-bound shot was kept out by Rodri's sensational block. Meanwhile, Eintracht Frankfurt subjected Bayern Munich to a first league defeat at the Allianz Arena in 30 matches. Philip Kostic stuck 7 minutes from the time as Frankfurt secured a first win of the season and first at Bayern since 2000. Rion Goretzka scored in the first half, but Frankfurt captain Martin Hinteregger quickly hit back. Bayern were last beaten at home in November 2019 and remain top of the Bundesliga, 1 point ahead of Borussia Dortmund. Daniel Mwendwa, Sport.
www.kbc.co.ke is where you can take a second look at the day's stories as well as other sports updates. But for now, that's it from me. I'm Richard Munga. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. But now, Purity Museo is back on the other side of the studio. Purity, over to you.
Thank you so much, Richard. Just before we wrap it up, there's a report from Kisumu County where the government is set to kickstart a recruitment exercise for 3,000 trainers for technical and vocational training institutions countrywide. Principal Secretary, State Department for Vocational and Technical Training, Dr. Margaret Mwakima, says the department has obtained approval from the Public Service to conduct the exercise. Wycliffe Okech with that report.
The government has set in motion an ambitious program to show up the number of tutors in technical institutions in the country. Vocational and Technical Training Principal Secretary Dr. Margaret Mwakima says the growing interest in technical courses has left the institutions in need of more teachers.
We've already now got an approval from the Public Service Commission to recruit 3,000 more trainers. As you are aware, since the time of movement of our trainers from the Teacher Service Commission, we have been growing, we have been expanding.
She said the intended recruitment drive will cater to the number of TVET institutions, which has grown steadily from 51 in 2013 to 238 this year.
Our major challenge has been the number of trainers to be able to provide the skills and the training that can inform the Big Four agenda, the Vision 2030, and other development programs that we have as a country.
Dr. Mwakima was speaking in Kisumu when she commissioned a driving school at the Ramogi Institute of Advanced Technology.
We'll work closely with the Technical Trainers Institute, the KTTC, to now impart them with the various pedagogy and the other training skills so that they can now get into the classroom and deliver for us the CBET.
We are going to offer quality training. We are also going to provide the soft skills that are not being offered currently by the training schools.
Really, our commitment is to ensure that everybody gets the right training. With the right training, then you will understand the traffic rules, you will understand really what safety matters to you and everybody else, and that is really the direction that we are taking.
All right, very well. Before we let you go, some feedback here. And by the way, there's something I've gotten off Twitter web app. They've put a message here. We are aware that some people are having trouble accessing Facebook app. We are working to get things back to normal as quickly as possible, and we apologize for any inconvenience. Now you understand why.
Instagram as well.
Instagram as well. And WhatsApp as well.
A lot of memes on how people are looking forward to having them back
again.
You know, thank you so much for watching Prime Edition this night. We have Joseph, who is tuned in from Milimani, Captain Kibet from Kapseret, Nyakwa Roda is watching us from Bondo, you know, and then we have Martini Lushoto, who is saying that tuning in from Kimumu in Eldoret, Oyando Wycliffe watching live from 045 Kisii branch. Thank you so much. Anthony Kamitu is also tuned in from Kitengela. Chacha Boniface also watching. Okengo from Nairobi, and thank you all for your feedback. We really appreciate. My name is Purity Museo. Lucy Mora has been a sign language interpreter tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow, same place from 9 p.m. Good night and God bless.
And I'm Mboya. Bye-bye.